my name is Tori Pritchett, and I am a Living Archive intern. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Ms. Kim. I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Okay. I am Kimberly Middlebrooks, an MSW student at Johnson C. Smith University, and I have 2 adult daughters and a spouse. Been married for 30 years. And retired from my position, but looking forward to the second chapter of my life.
All right, Ms. Kim, and where is home for you right now?
Okay, home for me is Concord, North Carolina.
All right, and were you born here?
No, I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay. And if you could, just give us a brief description about yourself.
Okay. I am a kind-hearted person. I love people, love helping people. I am a Christian. And the decisions that I make and the life that I live is based on my Christian beliefs.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you could, I kind of do want to, dive into this. So how long have you been here in, the Charlotte area or Concord?
Okay. I moved here in 97, so I have been here a little over 25 years. My youngest daughter was born here.
Okay. And
excuse me.
What do you remember during the early days of the pandemic?
I just remember fear, apprehension, uncertainty, disbelief. Because, who would have thought that a pandemic would happen that would really shut the world down?
Mm-hmm.
So, those excuse me. Those were things that I vividly remember, and just people being disconnected, churches being closed, people being isolated, and I just remember people's mental health being in a poor place. Excuse me, Tori.
No, you're fine. I definitely agree with you on that. And how did you kind of adjust to the pandemic and the transition?
I had to, during that time, I actually was working. Excuse me. I actually was working, and I was a supervisor at Human Services. So things were really turned upside down once things shut down.
Mm-hmm.
We still had to meet the needs of the people. So it was just thinking outside of the box to try to meet the needs of the people, because even though we were shut down, people still had needs. So just working remotely, working from home was a challenge. The fact that things shut down at a certain time, you used to go to Walmart and they were open 24/7.
24/7.
And it's, I think it really got real once Walmart started closing.
Yeah.
Then you really understood, wow, this, things are really changing. So just getting accustomed to that, and then people were a lot more difficult to deal with. Like, it's hard working with the public anyway, but excuse me. But working with the public during the pandemic was just a whole nother level. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get some gum too.
You said you need to get some water?
I kind of do. Got a tickle in my throat. So yeah, it was difficult, and you could see the fear people had. People were very standoffish. People were on edge. it was just a tough time. But to try to work through that and try and still care for people was a challenge.
Yes. And how was that balancing, work life and then, things at home as well? How was that for you?
It was tough. It wasn't tough. It made us, you couldn't go out. So it made us interact with each other more.
Okay.
Because my daughters are adults, so, they had their own little life and
yes.
coming and going like they wanted to. And, it put a halt to all of that. So it made us spend more time together, which was a good thing.
Yes.
And that was if I could say anything positive came out of the pandemic, it was that. It made you spend more time with your family, focus on your family. It made you communicate with each other more. So I can say that was one of the good things about the pandemic, because you didn't have all those places you could run to. You didn't have all the places you could be out and about going to. So it made you spend more family time together.
Yes.
So that was one of the good things about it. But I just had to kind of do what I needed to do to make sure I was taking care of home, and then making sure I was getting my work done too. Mm-hmm.
Especially with it being remote, was that a big adjustment for you?
Mm-hmm. It was, because I'm not a stay-at-home person. I like human interaction. I like that. So I worked from home for a little while, but I was one of the supervisors that preferred to work in the office. So they allowed me to do that because a lot of the workers were working from home. So I was one that pretty much came back into the office to work when we could.
Okay. That was your way of getting out.
Yeah, that was my way of getting out. I was more productive at work than at home. It was just too many distractions, and I preferred to go into the office.
Okay. And was there any, normal routines that might have changed besides work?
One of the major ones was going to church for me. I am a Christian, and so a big part of my life is my church life. So that changed because our church closed its doors for almost, about 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
But we still operated through YouTube and online. We did the online thing, but that's just not the same as going to church in person. So that was one of the major things that changed. And that was one that it was okay. It was nice for a break, but after it stretched out so long, it was like, I'm ready for church to open back up.
Yes, you ready to go back?
I'm ready to go back. Of course, it's open back up now, but that was the biggest adjustment, not being able to go to church on Sundays.
I get that. Were there any other challenges that you might have faced?
Just getting accustomed to the fact that everything shut down at a certain time, like early.
Yes.
Like you couldn't, if you didn't go somewhere by 5 or 6 o'clock, you could just forget it, because pretty much everything shut down at that time. And then getting accustomed to the fact that there were only a few people working.
Yes.
So what you could get quickly, like the drive-through would take forever.
Yes.
Like, so it just getting accustomed to it being fewer people working, having more patience, because you couldn't just run in somewhere like you could before the pandemic, because, there were plenty of people working, plenty of people to service you. My family enjoys going out to eat. That pretty much you might have to wait 2 hours and you looking in the restaurant and it looks empty.
Yeah.
But the problem was they didn't have any servers. They didn't have any people to wait on you. So that was an adjustment. and the fact that things never have gone back the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing is the same.
Certainly. What do you think some long-lasting consequences are?
I think the workforce, I think people got accustomed to being able to work remotely. And so they saw that they could work remotely and most people still be productive. So I think that's been a battle, getting people to come back to the office when they like, well, I could work from home. Why do I need to come back in the office?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that the workforce really never came back. Like restaurants still don't have enough staff.
Yes.
It's like everything is still struggling, and a lot of your favorite restaurants closed down because they just couldn't survive.
Yes.
So, that's been difficult too. But yeah, I mean, COVID really did change things. Long-lasting things changed.
Certainly. What are some good things that you've learned through your experience during the pandemic?
That we are resilient. I think Black people as a whole, anytime something negative happens, it impacts us at a greater rate. And it just shows because COVID impacted our families at a greater, we died at the greatest rate. It affected our families at a greater rate, and just learning just how resilient we are and how we, even through a pandemic, we still managed to be resilient. And I think that's, you as a person of color, that. But I think I really saw it in action. Like, we are just strong and resilient people, and that just makes me proud. Mm-hmm.
Certainly. What did you learn from your own personal experiences?
I think I learned that being rooted in my faith and my belief in God was just essential. Like, it kept me hopeful, even though, things looked dire. I still stayed hopeful. So I think that's the biggest thing. It just really showed me that having hope and trust in God is a powerful thing.
I agree with you on that. And what do you think the future will look like?
I just think it made people evaluate what was more important. I think we value, some people value money, value things, but during the pandemic, it didn't matter how much money you had.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you rich, poor, or whatever, COVID affected us pretty much the same.
Yes.
It had no discrimination, other than it impacted us greater, but I think that's just because of the healthcare disparities and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it affected everybody. The world shut down for everybody.
Yes.
And so I just think it made us more reflective of our life, what was more important. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
And I certainly agree with you on that. What did self-care look like for you?
For me, reading, binge watching some shows that I couldn't. So it just made me slow down and sometimes just not doing anything at all, just sitting and just meditating. And prayer. I truly believe in the power of prayer. So it definitely made me more prayerful.
That's amazing. And do you have any additional stories that you might want to tell us? Anything that you can think about? Something that might have stood out to you during that time?
No, just how life can be turned upside down in a moment. Like with COVID, if you caught it, you could be here 1 hour and gone the next. It just made me think, wow, how short life truly is. You know, you say that, but COVID made you really come face to face with longevity. It really made you think about mortality and
your health,
it just really made you think about, wow, what if I was to die today? What would people say about what have I accomplished? What have I not accomplished? So it just really made you think about yourself and where you wanted to go once it was over. Because, after it dragged on so long, it kind of looked like, Lord, is this going to last forever?
Yes.
So it just kind of made you do a lot of self-reflection.
Yes. And did you do any traveling during that time?
No, we did not do any traveling because my parents are in their 70s. And so we didn't want to make them sick, and we didn't want to make anybody else sick. So we pretty much stayed away from each other, and my family is close.
Okay.
So we get together for Thanksgiving and holidays and stuff like that. We didn't. Okay. We didn't get together. We didn't get together during the pandemic. Now, we talked. We would do our little group chats, and so we stayed in contact. Okay. But seeing each other face to face, we just didn't do that. Because, we didn't, it's 4 of us. I have 2 sisters and a brother. And so we didn't want to place each other at risk, and we didn't want to place our parents at risk. So during that time, we just didn't meet. We talked on the phone and text, but other than that,
Now, have y'all, since things have sort of kind of lightened up, of course, COVID is still, around and, very much so present. Have you all seen each other since?
Yes, once they kind of lifted the travel ban and all of that, then we did. We had our first family trip. Actually, this past in December, we all went to Jamaica.
Okay.
Except for my dad. My dad doesn't go outside the Chattanooga city limits.
Oh no!
By choice, he just is like, he's not a traveler. But my mom and all my siblings and their spouses and children, we went to Jamaica. And we had a ball.
Oh my God! I bet you did. And how was it? You went in December. How was the weather?
It was beautiful.
It was warm.
It was warm, tropical. Jamaica is beautiful. And my daughters loved it so much, they just went again in June. They fell in love with Jamaica, and the people, which I did too. They are very hospitable people, and so we just had a ball.
Okay, and the last thing I will ask is could you leave a piece of advice for anybody that may be going through something similar to the pandemic? What's some advice that you would leave them?
I would just say, don't lose hope. That's the thing. I'm a social worker, and what I've learned, even though you may not can control what's going on, you can control how you respond to it. And to never lose your hope and your humanity and compassion for each other and for people. I think, the Bible speaks that love is the greatest, and it really is. If you have compassion and love for people, it's just certain things you won't do. And I think that's the best advice. That, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this in the interview, but I'm gonna say it. Salvation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe in, and I'm not gonna leave because I'm a Christian. I believe in the Lord, God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Salvation is a wonderful, beautiful thing. It sustains your heart, your mind, and your soul. And God does that. And I know a lot of people don't believe, and people are scared to they talk about everything but God. But that was the thing that got me through not only the pandemic, but other tough seasons in my life. It was my hope, my faith, and my trust in God and Jesus Christ. He truly is a keeper.
Well, Ms. Kim, I do appreciate you, the Living Archive team definitely appreciates you taking the time out, and thank you for sharing your advice. I know some that would take somebody far, but we appreciate you and thank you so much for taking the time out to have us interview.
You're welcome.